Okay, good morning, guys. This is our topic for this week, MICE Event Project Management. Okay, learning objectives. By the end of this chapter, the student should be able to know what is project management in MICE industry. And then number two is to define and understand the steps of project management. When we say project management, it is a methodology that can be used to frame each phase in managing events, activities that must be planned and executed in a timely manner, central to MICE event management, and as a concept of a project is that it must be temporary or has a definite beginning and ending period to create a unique product or outcome. There are different steps in project management. So first is initiating, second is planning, the third one is executing, the fourth one is monitoring and controlling, and then the last is closing. So for the project initiation, there is an initial contact with clients. So for the corporate meetings and incentive travel management programs, there is a less time preparation compared to conventions and exhibitions. For the conventions, or PCO, professional conference organizers, and the exhibitions, the PEO, the professional exhibitions organizers, the contact clients 3 to 5 years prior to the actual convention dates. So under project initiation is pre-event meetings. So this is where the clarification of goals and objectives happen. The size of the events and other requirements with the client are determined. And there is also a provision to clients, a request for proposal or the RFP. So what are the requirements of RFP for corporate meetings and incentive travel? So we have the organizer information, the event profile, the name, duration, the itinerary, additional requirements such as staffing requirements, meet and greet requirements, the transportation, the on-site and off-site event requirements, and the theme and decor requirements. So of course, in the RFP, there should have a proposal profile. So this is in where proposal format to be submitted. So what are the important details? Important dates and timeline includes published date, the due date, the proposal presentation date, and decision date. For the planner content, there should have experience with similar type of event, number of events, years of operation, the insurance, the coverage, and the references. Okay, next we have the requirements of the RFP for conventions. For the PCO professional convention organizers, they are the one who works closely with the clients and then they submit proposal. And then once the PCO and the clients are agreed with each other, they will send proposal to the located or to the location selected. And the letter C is the requirements of RFP for exhibitions. So this is done by the PEO or the professional exhibitions organizers. They analyze the potential market. They have understood the gaps between or they assess the gaps among buyers and suppliers. They have 3 to 5 years prior communication between the exhibitors and the buyers. Then once the exhibition is feasible, the PEO will send requests for the proposal or the RFPs to both the general service and specialty service contractors. Okay, so when we see project planning, so after project initiation, we have the project planning. Okay, the project planning, this is where the success depends. No? And then the success depends on the information gathered from the project initiation. So there are different factors to consider. So first is the event scope. So event scope is very vital and should be closely monitored at all times. The minor changes can alter operations or can harm initial budget and resources application. For the scope planning, this is the first step. The plan creation for event scope will be defined, verified, controlled, and creation of work breakdown structure or the WBS. So, and then for the scope defining, expected of a particular project to be executed. So for the event scope, we have scope planning and then scope defining. So let's hear more from the scope defining. So the organizer preparation of the following. So list all the tools and resources, procedures, time, and money needed to complete the task. Seek input from the professionals with experience in the types of event being organized. Then create various plans to help organizers effectively and efficiently achieve their goals. And then list all the factors that can limit the size of the event, such as the budget or space availability of the desired destination. Uh, these are all the things needed by the organizers under scope defined. Okay, so we have the work breakdown structure. So this involves breaking down the entire event into smaller activities. So this serves as a checklist to ensure the completion and quality of each task. So as you can see here in the figure, there is a breakdown for the tasks and the time frame. So for example, you have task number one and you will do this on a specific time frame. For example, week one, then task two, week two, task three, week three, and then task four, week four. So this is an example of work breakdown structure. Okay, so under scope project planning, we have the scope verification. This is the process needed to confirm with clients the correctness and completeness of the plan. These vary in completion depending on internal procedures followed by the organizer. For the scope control, this allows an organizers to monitor actual progress of the task. So this is very important. So again, under event scope, we have the scope planning, we have the scope defining, we have the scope verification, and then the scope control. Okay, number two, we have cost. So when we compose a cost plan, this incorporates all the expected costs and expenditures in accordance with clients. So there are different types of project costs. We have the fixed, the variable, and the indirect. Okay, so let's see what is the example or what are the examples for the fixed cost. Okay, so for the fixed cost examples, here are the audiovisual, the marketing, the signage, cancellation insurance, the stickers, translation and interpretation, and then the space rental. Then for the variable cost, we have the food and beverage, the outside material, the guest room, accommodation, transportation, and the gratuities for the tips. Then for the indirect, we have the staff time, overhead cost, and the depreciation cost. Example for the overhead cost. Okay, so we have the advertising cost. So we also have the uh, insurance cost, the utilities, the depreciation, the spoilage cost, and other expenses. So let's go now to an example of revenue and statement or an expenses statement. So example here is we have revenue, the particulars, and then we have the actual cost to be, and then we have the budget cost to be. So for example, yung at the uh, allocation grants for the contracts, actual cost is $13,000, and then the budget cost is 13,000. So uh, this two cost doesn't have any variance at all. And then for the function fees, okay, for example, we have 1,000 actual cost of it, and then the budget cost is 1,200 dollars. So as you can see, the actual cost is much lower than the budget or the budgeted cost. So this is okay. And then for the registration fees, as you can see, 9,000 for the actual cost, and then for the budget cost is 8,000. So this is not good. So as you can see, there is variances between the actual cost and the budget cost. And then for the total, so if the actual cost is higher than the budgeted cost, so that is not okay. But if the budget cost is higher than the actual cost, so it means that your project was profitable. Okay. Next. Okay, so this statement is very useful tool that organizers can use to track the spending of each time throughout the project timeline. So this is also the importance of the statement or the cost plan that you are going to plan the cost in accordance to your project timeline. Next is staffing. The organizers need to single out tasks and designate each of them on appropriate due date. So the organizers can identify the human resources and competencies needed for each task to achieve on-time completion. Okay. Next is quality. A quality plan directly dictates service characteristics that will add up to overall client satisfaction at an event and are usually interconnected with staffing. Okay. Next is communication. So this plan spells out communication among related parties to ensure every activity is performed by the due date and at the promised quality. And then it must also include every communication method in case of unforeseen events. So you should have black and white of all the communication done. And then risk management, the risks and uncertainties, including natural disasters, political turmoil, riots, or as simple as undesirable weather conditions, can have a major impact on an event. A risk management plan is created for organizers to follow in case of any unexpected event to tackle the situation while continuing to as promised. So these are the steps in composing risk management plan. You have risk identification, qualitative and quantitative risk analysis, the risk response planning, and then the risk monitoring and controlling. Okay, next is resources acquisition. So core organizer with direct contact with client, cannot perform all the tasks alone and usually assign some or most tasks to external service providers or externally seek resources that cannot be found in-house. So external resources and services required include the human capital, the equipment, and the accommodation and logistics. And then next for the project planning, we have the schedule. Each type of attendee has unique conditions when participating in an event. This include different timing of arrivals for VIPs, guest speakers, and other attendees, or overlapping timing when each exhibitor can ship in exhibits. So that's for the first batch of our lesson, MICE Event Project Management.